Another exciting episode of the Forward Podcast. I'm Derrick Day, in case you don't already know that. And this is season two, according to the One Institution lexicon, of this podcast. And in this season, we're talking about practical things. We're talking about how to actually manifest, invoke, or otherwise use things that you basically that will improve the quality of your life. Because I'm of the mindset that if it ain't useful, it ain't helpful. And if it ain't helpful, it ain't useful. So I want to give you tools to help move your life forward. Because listen, if you're not moving forward, if you're standing still, you are experiencing a form of death. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to be in a dying posture. We want to be alive. We want to be vibrant. We want to be growing. We want to be moving, and we want to be impactful. Okay. So I promised in on my Facebook page that I would talk about an F word. And for those of you who have followed me for any amount of time, you know that I happen to like the F bomb. So I'm going to go ahead and say that and get it out of my system right now, just for the sake of housekeeping, for the sake of podcast hygiene. Fuck, 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 fuckity, fuck, fuck. All right, now got that out of my system. That's not the F word that I'm talking about today. How many of you actually know what it is to have friends? How many of you know what it means to actually be a friend? How many of you know the limitations, the boundaries of friendship? How many know that? So I want to start first of all. There is a song back from the 80s, which was back in the day for me. And there's a band or a rap group called Houdini, and they wrote a song called Friends that is like legendary. And it basically goes like this: is like, friends, how many of us have them? Friends, ones we can depend on. Friends, how many of us have them? Friends, before we go any further, let's be friends. And I'm not going to try to sing it because that's not my space of entertainment. But there's a dictionary definition of the friends too, which comes from the Oxford Languages Dictionary. And it says a friend is a person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual or family relations. And that that's a good definition, but I'm going to give you another one. A friend is someone who you like and who has a common bond with you. And we got to distinguish that, because a lot of people think common bond means common interest, and it's not the same thing. Because I have a lot of friends with whom we have no common interests. I mean, they like things that I don't like. I like things that they don't like. But we have a common bond. And listen, I'm going to present myself rarely will I present myself as an expert on anything, but I will present myself as an expert on this because I am 59 years old. I will be 60 years old in August, which means I've been walking the earth for a minute. And in that 59 years, I have two friends that I've been friends with since I was 2 years old. That means that these guys have been my friends. And listen, these are unbroken friendships, that there has never been a rift, that there's never been a gap. And this is not to say we haven't gotten along. And me and these two cats, we've actually had fist fights. As a matter of fact, one of my oldest friends, Leon is the first person that ever hit me in my mouth. Now, I know some of you are going to want to be friends with Leon just for that. Excuse me, allergies. Good gracious. Um, but anyway, excuse me for just a second. I've got to clear this out. Okay, that'll be edited out. But anyway, there's some things that I want to talk about with friendship, because I want you to know that if you are going to be a friend, you have to know what a friend is. If you want to be a friend, you're going to have to know what a friend is. Now, the first thing about that is, if you are not a friend to yourself, you cannot be a friend to anyone. If you berate yourself, you will berate others. If you betray yourself, you will betray others. If you lie to yourself, you will lie to others. If you steal from yourself, you will steal from others. And if you are unwilling to sit with yourself in quiet, contemplative solitude, if you aren't willing to do that, you can't do it for anyone else. I can't stress this enough. As a million-mile airplane flyer, I'm very well versed in the pre-flight checklist. And one of the things that they say, that in the event of cabin depressurization, oxygen masks will fall from the overhead. Place the mask on your own face before attempting to assist others. In other words, if you haven't taken care of yourself, if you haven't exercised self care, you're not going to be of any good to anyone else. You cannot help anyone if you don't first help yourself. Now, this is important, because part of friendship is loving others, and that means having empathy and compassion for others, and being able to, again, sit with them, to rejoice with them, to grieve with them, to go through life with them. And if you are unwilling to do these things for yourself and with yourself, the odds or likelihood of you being able to do that for anyone else is absolutely zero. So, being a friend, being a friend, the first thing that you have to do is understand how to listen. If you are the kind of person that is always talking, and understand this, I'm going to say this, I want to make this clear, because Derrick can talk. And anybody who knows me and knows me well, spent time with me, knows that I can run my mouth. I'm good at it. But I also know when it's time to shut up, to turn off the vocal box that is Derrick, and listen and pay attention. Not just hear, because hearing is a physical sense, but listening is a mental and spiritual exercise. If I'm unwilling to listen to you, I cannot be your friend. Another thing is that when you're a friend, you have to be giving of yourself. You have to be willing to project yourself, to make yourself available. And this is a very tough one, because what happens is that some people wind up giving, and get nothing in return. Now, I want to talk about this because give you a little education here along the way that has nothing to do with friendship, but it does have to do with the balance of things. We talk about trade deficits. You hear a lot in the news about trade deficits, and a trade deficit simply is when you are exporting less than your trading partner is exporting to you. In other words, you are receiving more than what you're giving. And This trade balance is very important because you have to look at yourself in the context of your friendship or your relationships and say, am I giving more than I receive? Or am I receiving more than I give? Because friendships over a timeline should be symbiotic and synergistic, and they should be balanced. I'm not saying that all there are going to be seasons where you're more giving than some of your friends, and there are going to be seasons where your friends are more giving than you, and it's okay when that happens. It just cannot be the norm because then things are out of balance. And what happens is that if you wind up giving and giving and giving and you're never reciprocated, if it's never reciprocated to you, then what happens is you wind up being used up, and that is not friendship. When using is the result of the relationship, it is not friendship. So you got to mind that trade deficit. You don't want to be in a trade deficit or trade imbalance with people whom you call friends. Now, another thing that I want to say is friends are people whom you like. I can't stress that enough. I, when you look at marriage, and marriage is a totally different conversation, totally different discussion, but I tell my sons that it's more important to find and marry someone whom you like than whom you love. Because listen, from a uh, Christian standpoint or from a spiritual standpoint, that we are taught that that love is important, and it's important to love your fellow human being because that which you love you will not offend, that which you love you will not harm. Love is important. But I'm gonna tell you something, like is even more important because like is are the people who you actually enjoy being with. And again, sometimes that like is seasonal. It may be, it may come or go, and that's okay. But life is too short to fuck around with people who you don't like. It just doesn't make sense. And again, you don't have to, they don't necessarily have to be people who you have the same interests with. I have friends who well, I'm going to use one for an example. I have a couple of friends who are morticians, and I have absolutely no desire to learn about what they do, but they are my friends and I love them. And so we have common bonds if we don't have common interests, and that's the thing that we want to be aware of. Now, how do you identify friends? This is really really key because there's an old saying, and may or may not be true. I'm not but I'm going to throw it out there. And they say a friend or an acquaintance will help you move furniture. A friend will help you move a body. And that there's some truth to that because basically a friend is involved in the intimate details of your life. They're concerned about your well-being. They're concerned about whether or not you might be in trouble, whether you might be in danger, whether you might be in trouble, whatever. A real friend has concern about that. And one of the things that I learned, I'll tell you, I mean, I could go back and tell some stories. Like in 1994, I experienced probably the most traumatic thing I ever experienced in my life, and at that time, my wife at the time died. And when she died, there were so many people who there were people who I knew were my friends because my two oldest friends that I had known since I was 2 years old, they were there the next day. And another friend of mine, uh, who I've known almost as long, he did the driving, and so the three of them came down. I had a friend who I befriended in Virginia. He was living in Washington D.C. He was down that afternoon, and at that particular time, I was doing radio talk, and I was supposed to do a drive time segment with a friend who was a talk show host at the radio station, and he and I had been at odds. We were mortal enemies on the air. But when he found out that my wife had died, he canceled that show, and he was with me for the rest of the day, and he was with me until he was with me every day until we actually had the services for my wife. So and then I had coworkers that I knew them. They were cool with me and everything, but they dropped everything, came to the house, and they were looking after my mom and looking after me and looking after my mother-in-law and just taking care of us. Right? It's like that was something where a critical situation came up where people, and watch this, a friend will drop what they're doing to make themselves available for you. If you are in a tough situation and someone tells you, hey man, I'll call you back. Now understand this, I'm a busy person, and people say, hey, I'm in a situation, can we talk? And I might say, okay, listen, I can't talk right now, but I promise you that I will call you back and we will have the conversation. Sometimes you have to set some boundaries, especially when you yourself have something going on that's intense or serious at the time. Again, placing the mask on your face before assisting others. So when you are a friend, you make yourself available. Friends make themselves available. And the other thing too is that friends will not exploit your vulnerabilities. A true friend knows your strengths and knows your weaknesses, but does not exploit them. Because one of the things that people do, human nature, is that when you don't have a realization of self, when you don't have a realization of love, then what happens is you tend to be exploitive and you will try to take advantage of people. This is where bullying comes in, and you know uh, sexual abuse and all these other things, where these kind of things come in because people don't have an awareness of themselves, and they don't know how to be a friend, so they go out and they mistreat others. But if you have to you have to understand that you can't take advantage of a person's weakness when you know it, right? It's like that would be the equivalent of, say, Superman's best friend breaking out the kryptonite whenever he's losing an argument. You don't do that. You don't do that. Um, Now, one of the things that I want to cover here is that everything, and I mean everything, has an expiration date. There's an old saying that says some people come into your life for a reason, some people come into your life for a season, and some people come into your life for a lifetime. And so basically the expiration date is either the reason, the season, or eternity, right? And and in that case, the expiration date, as in the natural sense, is physical death, because that's when, at that point, one of you is gone, is moved on, from the corporeal realm into the timeless realm. And and at that point, you still have the love, the affinity for that person. You still have the like for that person. You still have the memories of that person, but the actual relationship ceases until uh, all parties involved cross that bridge. So you have to know what the expiration date. And here's the thing: some people say, well, if a person is a friend for a reason or a season, it's not really a friendship. It's really just some sort of relationship. I disagree. I disagree, because there are friendships that actually happen within these contexts. And one of the things that you have to understand is that when a friendship dies, You have to know how to handle that, because one thing that people do is when they are hurt, when they feel like that they're being rejected or that they are being abused, they feel like they have to lash out, and they get vengeful, and that doesn't serve anybody's purpose. I'm going to tell you, uh, back in the day, my alter ego, I would call him Throat Punch Derrick, and Throat Punch Derrick would spare no expense at fucking over those who fucked him over. That was me. But now I don't do that. Number one, because revenge is a waste of resources. All you do is you kind of satisfy an itch for a minute, but you don't actually treat the cause, right? So that's one thing. The other thing too is that I realize that everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so if there is something that causes the friendship to end, then that means it's just time to let it go. There's no point in trying to make a point about why things ended. When things end, let them end gracefully. You know, back in the day, in recorded music, they would have an introduction, and at the end of the song, there'd be a fade out where the volume gradually decreased. And that was called a graceful ending. There was a graceful ending to a song, so it just didn't end abruptly. And so then when you get into the 70s and 80s, you have people that did songs that they just ended abruptly, and those songs you tend to remember because of the abruptness of the song. So I guess what I'm saying is that when it comes to friendships, you want to end them gracefully. You want to let them fade out nicely. And because here's the thing, you got to remember, there's a time and a place for burning a bridge, but there's a time and a place where you shouldn't. And one of the things that you have to be careful of, and you can write this down, it's not original, but you can write this down because this will help you. And it's this: be careful of the toes you step on today, because they may be connected to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow. And that's words to live by. So you don't want to just go on, when a relationship ends, that you just want to shit on it and go scorched earth on it. Y- Sometimes it's just better to let it end gracefully, let it fade out. Okay. So the last thing that I want to talk about here is boundaries. Boundaries are so important, because when you are a friend, that means that you are exposing some of your vulnerabilities. You are showing someone your weaknesses. And you can tell that, when how someone reacts to that. If you see them scheming, plotting, planning to how they can take advantage of this, um, then that may not be a friend. The other thing that I do is that when I engage, or when I begin to embark on a friendship, I basically look at it as credit. That when we start off, you start off with me with a 600 credit score, which is not bad, but it's not great. But it's saying I'm going to give you some amount of trust. Now, based on how you handle that credit that I extend to you, I may give you more credit, and your score goes up to like a 700. And I'm going to tell you that in my life, the number of 800s, which I think that the highest credit score is like 825, that I have only a handful of people that operate in that space, where I trust them implicitly, that if I know that I need something pertaining to my well-being, my personal well-being, my life, my family's personal well-being, that these people will handle it, and they'll handle it with they'll just handle it well. I was looking for a great word to use, but um, and in this particular case, I really don't have any boundaries with these guys. I mean, listen, as a man, there are only a handful of guys that I would trust to be alone with my wife. And that's just me. There are only a handful of people that I would trust to be alone with my children when they were coming up. I I'm very keen about establishing these boundaries, because when you expose yourself, you expose your weaknesses, and sometimes the enemy doesn't come at you directly at you to exploit that weakness. It'll come at people that you love or things that you hold dear. So you want to make sure that that you protect that, and then at the same time, um, my buddy Matthew DiStefano has a book coming out that's called "Don't Be a Dick," and you want to not be a dick when it comes to dealing with people who have exposed themselves or made themselves vulnerable to you. You want to basically uh, respect and honor that they've made themselves vulnerable to you. And listen, here's the thing about this. This is the long and short of it, as I get ready to wrap this up, that um when you have true friends, these friends will help you in your understanding of life. They will be contributors to your happiness, that they will serve as wise counsel to you. And here's another thing, that there are people who know you, KNOW, and people who know you, NOU. And one of the things that I know is that if I'm going off the rails, if I'm doing something harmful, if I'm doing something dumb, then my friends, people who I have established friendships with, that they'll step in and say, "Hey, Derek, don't know about that, bud." And they'll say it in a nice way. There's some. I have some friends that are pretty abrupt, that they're pretty frank, but even still, they're not just going to come in and say, "Hey, asshole." They're not that way, and I'm the same way. But at the same time, I also understand that people have to be free to make their own decisions, and therefore their own mistakes. So that's part of the whole boundaries thing. But you need people in your life who are going to that you give them a license to check you. Now, watch this, because in social media, everybody thinks that they have the right to check everybody. A- And I'm going to tell you something. I learned that early on, that that's not my job. And mind you, I go out and I say things that on social media that are abrupt, that they're brutish or whatever, however you want to call it. But I'm saying this in sort of a public forum. They're not directed at anyone. And what I don't do is I don't go into anyone else's space trying to make decisions for them or trying to influence them. That's just like, if you have someone that comes into your house, like I have friends. True story. I have friends that they get drunk, right? And when they get drunk, they're not really fun people. And if they come into my house and they're drunk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them an Uber and get them out of there and get them home. Why? Because I don't have to tolerate that bullshit. Just because we're friends doesn't mean I have to take shit from you. And you don't have to take shit from anyone else. And don't give shit to anyone else. In other words, as Matthew DiStefano said, don't be a dick. Real simple. So that's pretty much where the podcast ends. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the chat, and I'm going to answer some of the questions that are in the chat. And then also I'm going to put a link into the chat in case you are so inclined, you can click on this link and it'll put you in the green room. And when I see you, I'll add you to the broadcast. And then you could talk and you could tell me about your experience with friendship. And if not, then you can, email me, private message me or whatever, if this helped you or whatever. Okay. So anyway, let's go through here and let's look at the chat because I've seen a lot of people talking and understand this isn't like phreology or anything like that where we actually look at the comments in real time because this is going to be on iTunes and Podbean and all of this other places. I go through my material first, and then we hit the comments afterward. So, C. Rodriguez, good morning to you. Ben Urban, good morning, my brother. Michael Guerrero Santos, that's a new name or new face, but welcome. Lynn Stephen Kissinger, good morning. Karen Jones, good morning. Simon Yap, thank you for being a friend to me. He said, but Simon, thank you for being a friend to me. You are the best. So let's see. Let's see. It says, Simon says makes a better lawyer than Simon. And Gwendolyn Michael Kozakowski, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, says absolutely. Gavin Park, hello from Scotland. Hello from the United States. Gavin, good to see you, man. Ben Urban says real friendship is a give and take agreement. Generosity deserves reciprocity. God damn, you need to meme that, man. That's good. Shirley Moore says hello from Ireland. She says, you're so funny. Well, yeah, I am. I just I just accept that. And she says, my late husband and me were best friends. Enjoying each other's company is so important as you age. She said, miss that. Now I didn't know that, Karen, but uh, thank you for sharing that. And C. Rodriguez says a false friend is more dangerous than an open enemy. God damn, that is true. That's real talk because there are a lot of people who are they're fake friends, but and and they try to portray themselves as friends, but in reality, they're enemies. I say a frenemy is worse than an enemy. Why? Because it has more letters. Lynn Stephen Kissinger says we are fading a long-term relationship that is so infected, and of course, they are paving or they are praying for us. Last LMFAO, how will that work out? Yeah, that's funny. When people say, "Well, I'll pray for you." Honestly, don't pray for me because in my opinion, and this is another conversation for another time, prayer is an absolute waste of time. So don't bother praying for me. If you want to give me some money, that's great. You want to give me some investment advice or something, some kind words or something like that. That's great. But prayer, honestly, your conversation with your sky daddy, that's entirely up to you. Marshall Stokes, that's the cat that I've known over 30 years. This is one of my best friends. I call him my brother. He says appropriate discretion. Those are two words that ring uh, totally true. Daryl Carlson, another one of my Facebook friends, and I call him friend because not some people are just acquaintances, but Daryl is a friend. It said, if you have a handful of true friends, you are blessed indeed. That's true. Tony Hill, this was a cat. This was my best friend in the Navy. We we got in all kinds of exploits and adventures together, and we were roommates. This is a cat. When I think of friends, this is a guy that I think of. And let me say this too, the social media is interesting because you're able to reach out and find people that had a positive impact on your life, and they are able to reach out to people like you that have had a positive impact on their life. So I'm glad to be reconnected with Tony Hill. Like I said, this is one of my best friends, and I'm gonna tell you a story. This is a cat that whatever he learns, he will absolutely master it. I taught him how to play chess, and like within 6 months he was kicking my ass. I taught him how to play tennis, and within 3 months he was kicking my ass. And he was all I mean he was an athlete, a thinker, and really a compassionate person. So I just want to shout him out because that is a guy that I'm glad that social media came, that we were able to be reconnected, because that blessed me. Karen Jones says those friends are the ones who will help you bury the body. I have two. That's good, because it's better to be judged by two than carried by six, right? Shirley Moore says, "That's sound. Thank you." Lynn Stephen Kissinger says, "It's excellent subject today. We needed this." I hope so. I really hope that this was useful. It was helpful. Um, C. Rodriguez says, "Fast friends, fast enemies. Wax on, wax off." I love it. Um, Myriad McCleary. Now that is a very Irish name. I mean, that is a very Gaelic name. And I'm hoping that I got that right, but um, it said that I think you're right on so many levels. Establish boundaries. And Aaron Bailey says, "Good morning, my apostle brother." Aaron, I appreciate that, but I'm nobody's apostle anymore. I've really completely checked out on all the titles and all of that stuff. I'm just Derrick, and honestly, I don't have any use for any religion anymore. Um, and then Ben Urban says applying time or applying lime is applying lime is quality time. Oh my God. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Because when you bury the bodies, you got to have the lime. I mean, it's one of those things. Oh man, that is great. I really wish somebody would chime in and join in on the call. It would, it make this a lot more fun. But that way, I'm not just talking to myself. But I know I'm not, because based on the comments, I see that many of you are listening. And Ben said something about quality time. Quality time. That's when a lot of my friends that I have almost 20 friends that I've known more than 50 years. And we don't get a chance to spend time all the time. But when we do get together, it's like a little party. It's a family reunion. I have Navy friends. I have school friends that when we get together, it's like, it's almost like there was never any distance or separation between us. And that's the beautiful thing about friends, is that I, God, I should have put this in the podcast, but I'll come back to it later. But there's this phenomenon in quantum physics called entanglement, and entanglement says that once two particles or waves become entangled, that if you separate them and move one to another physical location, that whatever you do that influences one will automatically influence the other. And this is something that I like to call it the speed of thought, because it actually happens in real time. So it's faster than the speed of light. It's like if you spin one electron, the entangled electron in Moscow will spin. And that's really amazing. But what happens is that human beings, I believe that we're all quantumly entangled, but some of us are even more influenced or informed than others, um, based on the relationship. And so there's more result that happens from the impact of one on another. Okay. So Ben says, maybe the third time will be the charm. Where's the link? Here it is, Ben. Boom. Shakalaka. And Marshall Stooks says Jada had it right. What is that? Oh, and Marshall, you just said where's the link? So I just dropped it in here. So if you click the link, and it'll take you to your browser, and it will open up Restream for you. And once you're in the green room, then I can add you into the broadcast. So Marshall and Ben, you guys can click the link right here and join in. Okay. So there it is. Let me do something else too. So if you are on Facebook, Daryl says Ben Urban and Derrick Day would be would be fun. You're goddamn right, it'll be fun. So I'm gonna drop this link. If you're on Facebook right now, you can join now. Join. Oops. Join now. Will be available for 15 minutes. All right, so guys, it's on my page. I just made a post with the Restream link, and if you go to my Facebook wall, you can join in. So there it is. So I'm going to drop it here in the comments also. And so if, like I said, if you're looking at the chat on Facebook, the comment section on Facebook, it's there. Hang on, I'm going to do something else. Bear with me just a moment. If you're looking at the chat, stop. So I just dropped it in the chat again. And hopefully you guys see it. See, Ben says it's not popping up in the feed. Let me do this. All right, Ben, I just dropped the chat in Instant Messenger for you. And I'm going to do the same for Marshall. All right, so Karen Jones says she sees it in the feed. But Ben, I just sent it. I sent it to your private message on Facebook, Marshall. I sent it to your private message on Facebook. Because I'll be honest, it's like both of you guys. I would love to have you on. Well, there's Ben. All right, let's see if we have audio from Ben.
You got me?
Yeah. Oh.
Hey.
Let's see if we have.
Hey. You got me?
Hey, it's a person.
Hey. Hey. Third time was a charm.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. How you doing? How you doing?
Derrick, this is Luca. Luca, Derrick.
I just want Sophia.
What's that?
He's talking about a cartoon he wants to watch.
Okay, well, you go on and watch that, man.
How you doing this morning, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. Forgive the bedhead. I actually got a good night of sleep.
That's okay, man. You have fabulous hair.
Well, thank you.
and your beard, man. I like that.
I like yours too.
I'm Luca.
You're Luca. Well, hey, Luca. I'm Derrick.
Dollhouse.
Yeah. All right, go watch your show. Go watch your show.
How old is he?
He's 3.
3? Okay. Man, that's the magic time.
Certainly is. Can be.
Well, somebody else just joined in, Obadiah Owens. I don't know Obadiah, but I'll go ahead and chime him in too. But yeah, man, it's good to have you. We have got to do an actual live stream because I think that would just absolutely kick ass.
Damn right. Damn right. I'm excited. Whenever you want to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. You're one of those faces that when I think of friend, your face pops up. It's one of those things.
Same here, man.
Yep.
I really feel like the synchronicity is totally there.
Yep, synchronicity, serendipity, all of that. So there's Obadiah. What's up, sir? And now you have audio trouble. Your microphone isn't working. Nope, you have no sound, man.
I guess it's contagious.
I guess so. Obadiah, I'm gonna have to check you out. There we go. So yeah, man. So when you think of friend, what is your definition of friendship?
Well, friendship is definitely okay, buddy. Friendship is okay. All right. It's hard to it's hard to put ideas together when you're talking to me. Okay.
Okay.
Go sit down.
Okay.
Well, friendship is definitely a ride or die thing. You've always hear, you can love everyone, but you can only like some people. Depending on the give, like I was saying, the give and take.
Yep.
It's definitely real friendship. It can't be one person always giving all the time, and then the other person just taking. That's very toxic and unhealthy. But real friendship is loyalty. It's definitely putting in the time, being ready, willing, and able to help when you can, being available. I mean, it's definitely all the things you were saying. I definitely was, totally on the same page with that.
Yep. And I expressly avoided loyalty because I want to do a podcast totally on that. That's a subject in and of itself, not just it fits in with the concept of friendship, of relationship, of business relationship, all of that. But I really think that loyalty, people really don't understand that. They don't understand what it means to be loyal. And that's, man, that's another subject altogether. But I'm glad that you brought it up because it's something that I'm going to be talking about.
Awesome. I can't wait.
So yeah, man. So what else are you watching the Super Bowl today?
Yeah, we're gonna be watching it mostly for the halftime show. We weren't even sure who's playing.
I'm pulling for the Rams because of Matthew Stafford, because he played for the Lions and he had to suffer with them for 12 years. And so finally he's on a team where he can really showcase his talent. So I'd like to see him win a Super Bowl. And I'd like to see Joe Burrow win one, but he's going to win a few in his lifetime. So I'm not really too concerned about that. But Matt Stafford is sort of on the tail end of his career, and I'd like to see him walk away with one.
Yeah, definitely. That putting in all the time and the hard work, it would be good to see him get his day.
Yeah, especially when you suffer with a shitty team like the Lions for as long as he did. That's another thing too, is that I really believe that that when you're a friend, that you'll suffer with a bad situation, but listen, it should have an expiration date, right? You shouldn't suffer with a bad situation forever, because that's no good. That's toxic, like you said.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that goes back to the giving and receiving. Like if you're putting out all the compassion and you're not receiving any back, I mean that'll take its toll on you too.
All right. So Obadiah is
an empty vessel doesn't help anybody, especially.
Oh no, that's right. You have to be full in order to help or to pour out to someone else. Hey, what do you got there, Luca? What is that?
Put it in.
That's his elephant. He calls her Emmy.
Emmy, okay. Right on. That's a very oh, dude, that's beautiful, man.
So you want to say thank you, Derrick?
Thank you, Derrick.
Thank you, Luca. He's gonna have fabulous hair like you, man.
Thank you.
But then I've seen Beth, and she has fabulous hair too. So it's like, your kids pretty much have it coming and going. So Obadiah's in the green room. Let me see if he can. All right, Obadiah, are you there?
I'm there. I'm getting you. Do you get me?
Yep, I can hear you. So what do
Oh,
you
that's good.
what do you have to say about friendship, man?
I got Emmy the
Oh, okay, all right. Go watch your show.
Oh, I am Obadiah from Kenya, from Africa. I'm happy to join you this your stream. I'm
Nice.
so happy.
Okay, buddy, go watch your show. Go watch your show.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's good to have you, man. We're talking about friendship. So, what is it that that you heard on the podcast that that may have helped you, or what do you have to say about friendship? And your audio is gone again. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your audio is gone.
I hear music.
Yeah, I hear music, but I don't hear the audio. I don't hear his voice. Yeah, definitely hear the music, but not the. So listen. Let me. I'm going to go ahead and click you off. Well, there he goes. Um, but yeah, definitely need to have you on. And what was this? I think it was there were a couple of ways that we were talking about going this. We're Aaron and I were talking about having you on as a special guest on Freology, so we want to do that. So
It
you
would
got to.
it would totally be an honor, man. It really would. It really means a lot to me that you guys want to do that. So
Oh no, that would be super dope. But you got to drink, man, or
okay.
yeah, or you got to drink or you got to smoke. Or you got to do something because I think that there's a certain freedom that comes in just kind of exercising that, you know.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
I'll definitely be in good spirits. So don't worry
Nice,
about that.
nice. But dude, I just want to tell you, man, I love you. I love your wife. You know, you guys have been, I mean, you guys have been true friends to me for the last few years, and I'm grateful to have you in my life. Just want you to know that.
We love you too, man. You're definitely a mentor for sure for me.
Well, some people would just say I'm mental, but you know,
Well,
feel.
well, I get you. I get you're kind of crazy. So
well, you know,
I
you what's that, Luca?
I love you.
he says he loves you too.
Oh, I love you too, man.
I love you.
Yeah, give you a big internet hug.
He's like, what?
Big internet hug.
You like that?
So yeah, man. Oh, there's Emmy. Yeah.
Okay, okay, bud.
Emmy can win an Emmy. So Lynn Stephen Kissinger says loyalty is an excellent subject. Let's see what else. See, Aaron Bailey said it's wholly all that infuriates their sick pride to the point of blindly targeting another to be destroyed to prove their own eyes suck or their own suck eyes what they demand to see. Okay. And then yeah, we're getting the voiceover
Yeah.
Obadiah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Go watch your show, buddy. Go
And
watch
then
your show.
Aaron says, "Greater love has no man than to lay down his life for his friends, as holy fire Yeshua the Messiah did to shield his love friends from being crucified, or love his love friends being crucified by Pilate." So here's the thing, you know, like Aaron, I have to tell you that I'm kind of on a different track these days, so I'm not, you know, really, I personally have no further need to discuss anything scriptural other than to point out the holes in it. That's me. And you know, your mileage may vary, and if it works for you, I want to tell everybody that if you have something in your life that works for you, because I have a lot of friends that are still Christians, and one of the things that I don't do is I don't make a case to shit on their faith personally. Now I'll do it in a corporate sense because I believe the religion is garbage. But I tell everybody, hey, you're free to believe what you believe as long as your belief doesn't cause me any harm, then we're great.
That's my thing too. I don't when I go all like hard against the religion, that's all
Yep,
it is. It's not me attacking people. I make sure
exactly.
that I'm not slamming anybody, even though I might be slamming the views.
Yep,
It's not an attack toward the person, because the person, it's important in their life for a reason, and they believe it for a reason. And as long as they're being respectful and taking it to a positive place, if there's a positive place to take it, then hell, by all means, do it. Go,
absolutely.
if it gives you peace of mind, and you feel like it might help somebody else, and you're not being over, if you're not trying to overload people with it, then it's all good. But
Yep,
then respect at the same time, on the other side, respect that we're not all in that same place, and we don't need that same justification in our lives. I did want to go back to something, Derek. You were talking about, you were going through the comments, um, and there was the comment about, and I feel like this goes with loyalty. The A false friend is more dangerous than an open enemy. I
yep,
think I would just paraphrase that slightly and say a false friend is more dangerous than a true enemy. But I mean, just to go with the whole false and true being, opposites of each other.
yep,
But I feel like it still rings true. It's definitely the case, because a friend, or at least somebody that we think is a friend, is more dangerous because we've let them into our camp, and once they're in, they can really mess stuff up. Where if we know somebody's an enemy, we know where to set the boundaries.
you know
That
that, that's I always say this, that the enemy I see I can fight.
right,
But the unseen enemy is difficult. And one book that I highly recommend everybody read if you never read it is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And in The Art of War, Sun Tzu talks about how nations are best decimated from within, through espionage and through subterfuge, rather than an outright assault, right? Because if you can weaken it from within, it's just like uh cancer is far more deadly than a punch in the mouth. you know so if something is eating you from within, it has far more deleterious consequences than somebody kicking you in the nads or whatever. So
right, and that kind of goes back to the whole, you have friends for a reason, friends for a season, and friends for a lifetime.
yep,
Those ones that are friends for a season or a reason at a time might become enemies in that way. Like, you don't want to keep somebody in your life that is like just metastasizing within you and only bringing negative stuff
yep,
into your life, and just basically poisoning who you are because you're
exactly,
keeping them around. And I
yep,
get that. I mean, that's definitely another one of those where it's like you got to cut your losses in some cases. And I hate having to lose friends, but sometimes they let themselves out the door
yeah.
before you can even make that decision.
Yeah, I always say, like that chances are, if I cut you out of my life, you handed me the scissors.
Right. Yeah.
That's that's the way I look at it. I'm not, because I'm not the guy that will initiate the end of a friendship. But if I see the signs, and
Okay.
that's the other thing too, is that when you're on the journey in life, I tell people that it's really important for you to read the signs. Like if you're traveling on the highway and you don't read the signs, you miss your exit. Or if you don't read the signs, you drive into a detour. You have to know the signs and know how to react, right? What to do. And I always believe that the signs are always there. That when you see a relationship coming in, you've seen the signs. They were obvious. You just didn't see them. You chose not to see them.
Guys.
Right. Definitely.
Two word
Yeah.
guys. The two word guys.
Yeah. He's looking at the camera, and then he's also looking at our little our feed here.
Okay.
He's a very observant child.
I can see
It's
that.
definitely a blessing.
There's 2 little guys.
Yeah.
What's that?
He said there are 2 Lucas.
Oh, 2 Lucas. Yeah.
And 2 Lucas and Daddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buddy.
Daddy, too.
That's right. Me and Daddy. That's right. That is an amazing head of hair. I'm just really,
Yeah, he's. I think I had the same cut when I was his age too.
yeah.
But my hair was darker. We're not sure where the blonde came from.
You know, you never know. It kind of creeps in.
Okay, go watch your cartoon, buddy. Yeah, we like to say he's my little twin, other than the hair.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Especially around the eyes and the smile, man. He's like your twin.
Definitely. All right.
So, Luca, how many friends do you have?
How many friends do you have, buddy?
I
Yeah.
have Luca and Asa.
Asa is his brother,
Okay.
who's 6. But yeah, he'll be starting preschool. What in the fall? Is it gonna be in the fall?
Right on.
So that'll be really good for him, especially with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the social interaction has been so limited for him.
I know.
I mean, he gets to play with the kids on the street when they're out, but it's
Yeah.
kind of missed.
Yeah, I know. Like my 2 youngest ones are high school age, and the pandemic has really been that's been a hot mess for them. But they figured out ways to adapt, and that's cool. But look,
Oh, look at that! Who's that? You see the kitty?
Yeah.
Smokey, you're on the internet, man.
Hey, Kitty.
Yeah, I just saw him. He's over here stalking on my desk. So no, don't. That's my hairband, man. It's not your toy.
It's so good to finally be able to talk to you, like
Yeah,
physically
likewise.
talk.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that more often. And my buddy Marshall Stukes, he's out here. Marshall, click that link, man, and join on in. That's one of my oldest and best friends. But yeah, man, it's definitely good to be on here with you, and I'm really I'm looking forward to having you on the Freology, and also looking forward to just having a one-on-one. We'll get together and think of some things that we could talk about, and just kind of have at it, and I love this Restream because we can actually answer questions in real time, which is really cool.
Definitely. I don't know what was going on the last couple of weekends.
Yeah.
Every time trying to get on, it just kept saying that your microphone's out of date, and then when I try to update it, it wouldn't give me that little gear that gives you the option. So,
but this
I don't
time
know. I guess
it
just
all
the
came up.
timing was just right today.
Yep. Marshall says old iPhone need newer browser. Nah, man, that's bull. I was about to say something. I'm not going to say that in front of Luca.
Well, I appreciate it.
Because he'll be walking around saying "ball."
Unfortunately, he probably does anyway, a little too much. He hears his daddy saying things, picks him right up.
Yeah,
Kid's a sponge.
So yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. But it's good talking to you, and like I said, really looking forward to having some more talks with you, because like I said, I think you're the bomb, man. You and keep on writing those affirmations, those positive, inspirational posts. It's like whenever I catch them, man, I try to share them because they bless me, and I know that they'll bless others.
Thank you, brother. I feel the same way, man. I'm so glad that we were able to do this, and I look forward to the Freology Friday.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, you really are like a hero to me. Where you've been and where you're going now. I mean, I think you're really making an impact on a lot of lives, and you definitely have made one on mine. So I really appreciate it.
I'm
And
honored and humbled, man. More than you know.
it's so good to be your friend.
Likewise. Love you, man. And
Love you
take care of
too.
yourself. All right. Peace.
You.
Bye,
Happy
Luca.
Sunday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So that I think that we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Let's see. We had some other people here. Uh JCOM says the art of war is money. Kind of sort of. Because the art of war actually transcends beyond war, politics, and money. It's really I would say that it's actually spiritual, and honestly, I think that the art of war is a far more valuable educational resource than the Bible. Um, but thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have friends in your life, that you have people that you can depend on and people that you can turn to, and that people, more importantly, whom you can pour yourself out to and into their lives. So until the next time, may you be happy, may you be well, and may you be filled with peace.